For plaintiff.
All right, good evening and welcome to this March, I'm not in the right meeting, of this April 13 meeting of the Lake Bluff Village Board of Trustees. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Ashamas is absent. Trustee Fisher. Trustee Freed.
Here.
Trustee Hatch.
Here.
Trustee Renner is absent. Trustee Ryder.
Here.
Thank you. Please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flags of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on our agenda tonight are awards and proclamations, and the first one is declaring April 24, 2026 Arbor Day. Whereas Arbor Day will be officially observed in the state of Illinois on Friday, April 24th, 2026, by proclamation of the governor. And the planting of trees on Arbor Day is a tradition through the state and the village of Lake Bluff. And whereas the village of Lake Bluff has been recognized as Tree City USA for the past 30 years by the National Arbor Day Foundation. And we should be extremely proud about that as a tree city for preserving our canopy. And whereas trees in our village, whether they are planted, increase property values, enhance our business and residential areas, beautify our community, and are a source of joy and promote the environmental well-being of present and future generations. And whereas Lake Bluff Garden Club, Lake Bluff Open Lands, Lake Bluff School District, Lake Bluff Park District, and other private and public institutions have actively supported preservation efforts and the renewal of natural areas through tree planting and landscape projects. And whereas the celebration of Arbor Day 2026 in Lake Bluff will be observed on Thursday, April 23rd at 10 a.m. through the day in programs at school, and in particular in the planting of a tree at the Lake Bluff Recreation Center. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Régis Charlot, village president of the village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, proclaim Friday, April 24, 2026 as Arbor Day in the village of Lake Bluff, and I urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, to protect trees on this day, and to join in the celebration ceremony with the Lake Bluff Garden Club and Lake Bluff Open Lands. So thank you. We also have a proclamation designating April 19 to April 25, 2026 as National Library Week. Whereas libraries offer the opportunity for everyone to connect with others, learn new skills, and pursue their passions, no matter where they are on life's journey. And whereas libraries have long served as trusted institutions, striving to ensure equitable access to information and services for all members of a community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or social-economic status. And whereas libraries adapt to the ever-changing needs of their communities, developing and expanding collections, programs, and services that are as diverse as the population they serve. And whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that promote a sense of local connection, advancing understanding, civic engagement, and shared community goals. And whereas libraries plays a pivotal role in economic development by providing resources and support for job seekers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses, thus contributing to local prosperity and growth. And whereas libraries are treasured institutions that preserve our collected heritage and knowledge, safeguarding both physical and digital resources for present and future generations. And whereas Libraries are an essential public good and fundamental institution in democratic societies working to improve society, protect the right to education and literacy, and promote the free exchange of information and ideas for all. And whereas the Lake Bluff Library has been a cherished local institution for many decades, and it is recognized as an important and significantly contributing member of the Lake Bluff Central Business District community, continues to be an enthusiastic supporter of numerous special events through town, and actively promotes literacy, reading, health, exercise, and movement in Lake Bluff through the Lake Bluff Library Store Walk and its many other programs. And whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now, therefore, I, Régis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the week of April 19 to 25, 2026 as National Library Week and encourage all residents to visit their libraries and celebrate the adventures and opportunities they unlock for us every day. Thank you. And I can only support that wholeheartedly. And last, a proclamation designating April 2026 as Fair Housing Month. Whereas April 2026 marks the 58th anniversary of the passage of the U.S. Fair Housing Law, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, as amended, which enunciates a national policy of fair housing without regard to race, color, religion, sex, familial status, handicapped, and national origin, and encourages fair housing opportunities for all citizens. And whereas individuals in the state of Illinois are guaranteed the right to choose where to live without discrimination based on race, color, religion, age, and sex, including sexual harassment and pregnancy, familial status, marital status, national origin and ancestry, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, military status, unfavorable military discharge, and order of protection status. And whereas acts of housing discriminations and barrier to equal housing opportunity are repugnant to a common sense of decency and fairness. And whereas the Village of Lake Bluff welcomes the opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to the principle of fair housing for all, is committed to all efforts that address discrimination in our communities, supports all programs that will educate the public concerning their rights to equal housing opportunity, and assures every person their right to live free of a fear of housing discrimination. Now, therefore, I, Régis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, do hereby proclaim April 2026 Fair Housing Month in the Village of Lake Bluff and call upon the people of Lake Bluff to wholeheartedly recognize the importance of fair housing to our village and nation, and the progress we have made in ensuring equal and equitable housing for all people. Thank you. Moving forward with the next item on the agenda, and that would be the consideration of the minutes of the March 30, 2026 Village Board meeting. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Move. Seconded.
Thank you. Are there any comments? It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next is our non-agenda items and visitors, and I will read. The Village President and Board of Trustees allocates 15 minutes for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the Village Board of Trustees on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each person addressing the Village Board of Trustees is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. And again, The village board very much values public comments, and to the extent your public comment is a question or requires further investigation, village staff will follow up with you outside of this meeting. Time for non-agenda public comment is not intended to be a question and answer session or for board deliberations, but the board may, at its discretion, choose to answer questions or discuss non-agenda items. We appreciate your understanding and look forward to your comments. I do not see anybody in the room willing to address the board tonight. Do we have anybody online willing to do so?
Anyone participating in tonight's meeting via Zoom, please, and want to make comments on things that are not on tonight's agenda, now is the time to raise your hand and be recognized. No, sir.
No. Thank you. Moving forward to the next item, that would be the village board sets the order of a meeting, and that would be the village president and board of trustees will entertain requests from anyone present on the order of business to be conducted tonight. I do not see anybody willing to.
Item 17's, you can take that first.
Item 17 will be next. Any other item?
Without objection.
Without objection, moving forward to item 17. Moving to item 17. And item 17 is an ordinance vacating a portion of a public right of way at East Sheridan Place, as the East Sheridan Place alley. Could I please have a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved. Seconded.
Thank you. As a background, this item involves the vacation of a portion of the East Sheridan Place alley and granting easements over the same property to provide the village and private utilities access and use rights to this alley. The property just south of East Sheridan Place between Newman Court and Briar Lane were platted in 1904. The plat reserved a 12-foot wide alley that extended 300 feet to the south for the village in rear of the properties, which was never fully developed. The only improved section of the alley was pavement that was installed up to the detached garage of a home at 324 East Sheridan Place. In 2024, the village vacated the improved portion of the alley and sold the property to the owners of 324 East Sheridan Place, but maintained an easement over these sections to allow the village access of the remaining 200 feet of alley right of way. Peter and Ashley Nash, the owners of 374 Briar Lane, approached the village about acquiring the portion of the alley that abuts the rear of their property. The attached ordinance and easement agreement propose to vacate 6 feet, 1/2 of the width of the alley, across the width of their property, and sell it to the Peter and Ashley Nash for the appraised value of $4,290, and also maintain the village right to access and maintain the remaining portions of the alley. Over the years, the village has vacated, sold, leased, and licensed property to meet a variety of objectives, and after consulting the 2002 Lake Bluff Plan Commission inventory report on village-owned lots and unique village right-of-ways, mouthful, which recommends privatizing the alley. Any question on the board to Drew and staff? And I do not see questions to Drew. It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I do not see anyone opposed. And the motion carries.
Second reading will be 2 weeks from tonight.
All right. Resuming our normal order of business tonight, and that would be item 7A. And that is for our village finance report and for the warrants report for March 31st to April 13, 2026, and for fiscal year 2026 payroll expenditures to date. Is there a motion to approve this warrants report?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. And so the warrants report tonight is for expenditures of village funds for payment of invoices in the amount of $527,788.21 for March 31st to April 13, 2026, and for expenditures of village funds for payments of payroll in the amount of $328,997 for January 2026 and $329,161 for February 2026, for a total expenditures of $1,185,946.21. Any questions or Bettina on the board? Questions to Drew or Bettina on the board?
No.
Nope.
Roll call.
I have read the ledger. I went through every entry. I have no questions. It is a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fisher,
Aye.
trustee Freed,
Aye.
trustee Hatch,
Aye.
and trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
And next is our village administrator's report. Drew?
I have no report tonight. Happy to answer any questions. Weiss.
Memory is going away in a hurry. Thank you, Drew. Next is our village administrator's report, and tonight we have Stu Weiss,
Attorney.
attorney, not village administrator. Welcome.
Nothing to report tonight.
Thank you so much. I might be a little bit distracted. Next would be, thank you. Next would be my reports, and tonight we have a discussion on the appointment of Reagan Akins to the Sustainability and Community Enhancement Ad hoc Committee, VSCC. And specifically, subject to the consent of the Board of Trustees, the village president appoints members to the village various advisory board and commissions. As village president, I recommend the appointment of Reagan Akins to fill one of the two vacancies on the Sustainability and Community Enhancement Ad hoc Committee. Mrs. Akins' application and resumes are attached. One thing I'd like to say is filling advisory board is extremely difficult. Finding good candidates and people that have professional backgrounds or interest is actually a challenge, and it's fun to find the right people to fill these positions. The second thing I would like to say is Reagan is a friend of mine. We're both runners, and I've ran many Saturday mornings and Wednesday mornings early, and we have had fun conversations. And I believe that Reagan is the perfect person for that position. I also went through a process for that position where I get to find the people, I get to interview the people that would be for these positions, and then I get to introduce these candidates to the advisory board chairs for their comment, and upon only their recommendation will I appoint people for these positions. And this is the process we have followed today. Questions on the board? I would need a motion to appoint Reagan Akins to that.
Second. First. I thought, I was like staring at Karen.
She did raise her face.
Whoever you want, pick, yeah.
So,
Trustee Hatch made the motion. It was seconded.
all right, so first motion by Kat and second by Taryn. It is a voice vote.
It is.
All in favor?
Hi.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. And I have one more position to fill on the VSCC, by the way. And I'm working on that one. Thank you. Next would be our consent agenda. And tonight, our consent agenda is item 11, the acceptance of a correspondence. The correspondence was delivered to the village board in the informational report on April 3rd and April 10th, 2026. And item 12, the second reading of an ordinance amending section 1-6B-4 of Title I of the Municipal Code regarding disposition of surplus personal property. Is there a request to remove any of these items from the consent agenda? No. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Thank you. Is there any discussions on these items at once? I did not see any. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fried,
Aye.
trustee Hatch,
Aye.
trustee Ryder,
Aye.
and trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Next would be item 13, an ordinance amending the second year of a biennial budget of the Village of Lake Bluff for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2025 and ending April 30, 2026. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
Motion.
To approve? Okay.
Awesome, thank you. Would you like to take this?
I'll take it very, very briefly. This is housekeeping. So most of these things the village board has seen. Village administrator by code has the authority to move money within funds. We have always deferred to be very transparent here and showing this is really a housekeeping for us for next year's budget and for future years. But some of the biggest tickets, of course, you're familiar with because they exceed my authority. Some of the other ones within my authority. For example, the tree reference to clean cut tree contract. That deals with the village doing injections on trees around town to maintain their, we're trying to do our best to manage the trees on the bookends of their lives, the very beginning and the very end. And some of those require special care. And so we've had very great results working with this crew. And we did a lot more last year than we did in years past. So, but those are just an example. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I did not see any questions to this agenda item. It is a voice vote.
First reading, yes.
First reading, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next would be item 14, a public hearing concerning the Village of Lake Bluff proposed fiscal year 2027 to 2028 biennial budget. As required by law, the village must hold a public hearing on the fiscal year 2027 to 2028 tentative biennial budget, the budget, after which the fiscal plan may be revised and passed without any further inspection, notice, or hearing. Consistent with past practice, first reading of a budget ordinance will follow the public hearing with second reading and adoption of a budget anticipated at April 27th Village Board meeting. Notice of this hearing was published in the Lake County News Sun on April 6, 2026. The finance director with us tonight will present a summary report of a budget and will be available to respond to questions at the hearing. It is recommended that this public hearing be opened, continued until the April 20th Village Board meeting. And so I declare a public hearing open regarding our proposed fiscal year 2027 to 2028 biennial budget. Bettina?
Good evening and welcome to the budget hearing for the biennial fiscal year 27-28 budget. The biennial budget approach utilized by the villages to provide residents with more certainty about the direction of local government services, finances, and tax levels, making more strategic use of the governing body's time in reviewing budgets, and to retain benefits on an annual basis and quarterly reviews tweaking as we go along through the second year. The calendar overview quickly is snapshotted here on this slide, shows the first year, fiscal year 27, with financial plan process that begins with the village board setting goals to determine major objectives for the two-year process. The results of the village board goal setting are incorporated into the budget with instructions issued to the operating departments who are responsible for submitting initial budgets. And after the proposals are complete, the village finance committee reviews and then approves a preliminary budget that is then put forth in a public meeting and hearing and finally approved at the end of April. The second year of the budget, fiscal year 28, which would be in this biennial process, kind of reviews the entire process that we had the first year. It's the second year of a 2-year cycle, and we hold meetings, and the Finance Committee may make adjustments that are then reported and suggested to the board and also approved at the end of the 2-year cycle. We also have monthly reviews that are formal and part of the acceptance in the monthly reports. So incorporated into the budget is the strategic plan, where we look at the quality of service delivery in the sense of community, infrastructure, investing in economic development, planning and long-range reviewing as part of the stability, utilizing program management in environmental sensibility, and also with continued infrastructure maintenance and public assets. So the strategic plan includes an expression of the Village of Lake Bluff's mission, and the fundamentals of vision, stewardship, and valued services directly correlate to the planning and commitment of the resources in the budget. The budget's organized by funds, which allow for the allocation of resources, and not all activities of local government have the same financial objectives. The various funds in the budget account for activities with different objectives. So the general fund is department expenses. Special revenues include foreign fire tax, IMRF, Social Security, motor fuel, and 911. And the capital projects include the infrastructure plans and projects that we put out, and the debt is related to bond debt. Water and stormwater, business enterprise funds, their revenues for infrastructure and services that we provide relating to the utility for the community. Police Pension Trust Fund is separately accounted for, the revenues and expenses for the Police Pension Fund. And the Library Fund, considered a component unit for the purposes of accounting and for the budget, and the tax levy is also reflected in the budget. So as an overview of both years, a quick snapshot, the fiscal year 27-28 revenues and expenditures. 27 revenues are budgeted for 25.4 million with, can I do this right? With expenditures of 27.5. The year-over-year growth for 27 revenues are up to 20.5% from 26, and fiscal year 28 up 31.4%, which is really related to the grants and bond debt and funding and allocated dollars that we'd be getting as part of revenue. The operating budget, all costs except capital and contingency, for the village and the library is 14.8 million for 27. This represents a 1.32 increase when compared to fiscal year 26. So it's reflecting the net difference between the overall expenditure increases and the impact of the expiration of the sales tax incentive agreement. So between the two offsetting revenues and expenses, we're at a low increase for fiscal year 27. Some of the things that make up part of those changes and up and coming are personnel services, so union staff and salary increases. We budget about 3%. The police patrol contract will be expiring in April of 26, and the sergeant in April of 27. And then the Public Works collective bargaining agreement expires in April of 26 as well. Fire department personnel cost expenditures for about a 65-member volunteer pool are budgeted about $428,000. That's about an 8.6% increase, which is primarily due to their Social Security costs and also retention efforts to maintain adequate staffing and training. The medical insurance, which is also a big part of the budget for the village employees, we generally estimate a 10% increase. Sometimes that fluctuates. We're part of a pool. So based on how that pool determines the increases, it could be less, but we always are conservatively at 10%. The contracts and commodities, sorry, I'm not done yet. Contracts and commodity are related to dispatching costs. Those annual increases are under the extension of the agreement, and they are 3.75 through fiscal year 2028. The village's projected savings for the extension period are about $150,000 a year in that contract. The water fund, CLC Jawa, wholesale water rate is $1.99 per 1,000 gallons, and it's projected to be 209 and 220 in these upcoming budget years. And we've also got facility improvements that are incorporated into the budget related to gutter repairs and patio leveling at Village Hall and public safety, interior improvements and public works facility electrical painting and HVAC repairs, and also some pole barn repairs. Sorry. So this chart gives you a year-over-year change in revenues with property taxes being blue, sales tax being orange, home rule sales tax gray, and the state income tax at the top yellow with the year-over-year rate of change in the line above the graph. The last 2 years are estimated based on budget, so they're static, but it does show the ebbs and flows within that period. So the general fund, again, the history of the general fund revenue from a financial plan perspective, the village's economic outlook remains strong. And the FY 27-28 budget is optimistic, but cautiously optimistic. We're always sensitive to the challenges of the past fiscal years. And look at pretty much stable property taxes, anticipated stable sales and home rule tax.
And so Bettina,
Mhm.
for people listening,
Yep.
the difference in the previous slide, the difference between next year and this year is basically in the orange is basically the infrastructure work we're doing now.
It's grant revenue related to, yes, related
So
to the
it's a plan
infrastructure. work.
expanse, it is a
Right.
plan development, and we're improving on our community. on
Right.
that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, to build on that, this probably more so than ever, there have been planning efforts and operational changes over the last almost 20 years that have led to this moment. I'll
Mhm.
say we're in the village's history of taking on the largest capital initiative that it ever has. And what does that mean? That means we've gone from 55 regular full-time employees to 34. We've
Mhm.
gone to outsourcing. Bettina talked about the outsourcing of dispatch. We continually save money. We're still below probably half of what we've spent when we had that service in-house going
Right.
back 8 years plus.
Yep.
So the cost savings of operational changes the village has made over years and outsourcing of garbage and recycling collection have made the village to be able to be in the position to invest in its public assets. And it's taken a long time. It's here. It's very, Jeff is earning his keep and then some, and hands are calloused from answering the phone and signing agreements, but it's been very busy.
With that in mind, Drew, I'd just like to add that you've earned your keep and then some.
Yeah.
You've really done a fantastic job of financial stewardship of the village over the course of time that you've reduced those positions and outsourced so much, and really appreciate the work you do as well.
With a top-notch operation for a small village that is ours.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you very much. I think pound for pound, we fight above our weight class collectively, and I appreciate everybody in this room. And certainly over the years, the board has been, I mean, it doesn't happen. You guys make it happen. So thank you for the support. And I think we are a beacon of efficiency.
Okay.
I have noticed that, and
Flag that
there's no
flag.
doubt that you guys are amazing for what you're doing to them. So thank you.
Yep.
Bettina, sorry.
Sure, thank
Sorry
you.
for the interruption.
That's okay. So to paint a picture on the wings of that, this looks at the general fund balance. And as we approach the use and of the fund balance and all the projects that we have coming up in the next 2 years, you see the ending fund balance anticipated at 51% at the end of fiscal year 28. This includes an 800,000 general fund capital contribution related to Green Bay Road and reconstruction of the business district. It includes a $500,000 capital contribution to the Stormwater Utility Fund for continued viaduct and stormwater improvements. And it includes 200,000 capital contribution to the water fund for the lead service replacement program that is previously allocated through ARPA resources. So that's all the money that's flowing out of general fund into the various other funds that will be handling those capital projects. And just to further illustrate it, we have this chart for both years. You can see the gray is the capital that is taking over the chart of expenditures. First year being 36% of expenditures, and the second year,
Almost half.
almost half at 49%.
So we're.
Start knitting.
This is going to be
This
etched
is
in
the-
stone. We're getting a stone sitting, so that we can make a statue of this appropriately, because this doesn't happen very often. I would challenge you to find many budgets in any local government agency that's half of their money is going to capital. Yeah. Probably CLC Java excluded, right?
So if you keep going to the next slide, we look at so overall capital expenditures, just to reinforce even further what we've done from FY15 through to FY28. As Drew said, the largest capital allocations for both 27 and 28. The capital outlay increases from, the 36% to 49%. And some other key expenditures in the areas, obviously our pension, debt service, and contingency remains a small component. And then just as a refresher, I listed out all the capital projects that you've seen in many of the other prior presentations, this being in the general fund, and those totals for the 2 years. And then if you go to the next slide, we have MFT and the MFT fund, the water fund projects, and the storm sewer utility projects. And then the capital fund projects. So some of the budget highlights included were also facility improvements. The village hall upgrades include some gutter repairs, patio leveling. Public safety has access control systems, some interior replacements. Public Works has pole barn repairs, electrical upgrades, some painting, air conditioning repairs. And the Walnut House has some safety upgrades, and the train station also has some mortar foundation repairs. And then also as the library fund, which I mentioned earlier, and the library revenues are rising from 1.3 million to 1.8. They generally operate on a balanced budget approach, so their revenues and expenditures remain closely aligned. Their revenue base is basically the property tax levy. So you're looking at an increase, and that's how they've budgeted it. Their expenditures are growing, and part of that is related to personnel costs, contract costs, and an annual reserve contribution that they have budgeted. So some significant year-over-year changes in their proposed budget as well. So just as a final overview, we look at a 3.4 increase in operational expenses overall. That's including all funds, and plan draws on reserve to fund major capital projects. So from a revenue perspective and trends, we look at property taxes driven by CPI and new EAV. Sales tax are budgeted at 3% increases. State income tax increased to align with historical revenues, and the boards and commissions expenses dropped about 66% after the target incentive ends. Then from a capital improvement perspective, we focus on water, sanitary, roads, bridges, and stormwater assets, with key facility upgrades to Village Hall, public safety, Public Works, and the train station. And then also strategic transfers and reserve health. We transfer to the capital fund, stormwater utility, and the vehicle replacement fund, and reserves dropped from about 92% to 51% of operating expenses in FY28. The quick version. Anyone have any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much. Questions to Bettina on the board?
Thank you. Sure.
I see no questions on the board. It was long coming to get to this point, so thank you. I will welcome now questions from members of the public. I do not see people here. Do we have any questions online?
Anybody participating in tonight's meeting via Zoom, now is the time to raise your hand through the software so you can be recognized and comment on the public hearing regarding the next 2-year budget.
Nope.
No, sir.
Great job, Bettina. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So without objections, I will continue this public hearing until our next meeting.
No objection.
No objection.
I do not see any objections. Thank you very much. And moving forward to item 15, an ordinance adopting the biennial budget for Village of Lake Bluff proposed fiscal year 2027 to 2028 biennial budget. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. The village utilizes a multi-year budget process as it emphasizes long-range planning, budgeting for results, effective program management, and fiscal responsibility. Specifically, the primary objective of this budget are to, one, maintain current fund balances at or above village minimum reserve levels. Two, control operational costs. Three, continue reinvestment in village infrastructure. And four, continue to deliver quality and efficient services. Additionally, this budget has been assembled with the intention to allocate resources consistent with the 2026 Village Strategic Plan. The tentative biennial budget for the next 2 years includes $23,587,366 plus $3,916,312 in interfund transfers for fiscal year 2027 and $32,292,392 plus $4,112,312 in interfund transfers for fiscal year 2028. These sums include the Village of Lake Bluff funds and the Lake Bluff Public Library funds. The operating budget, all costs except capital and contingency for the village and the library, is $14.8 million for fiscal year 2027, representing a 1.32% increase when compared to the fiscal year 2026 budget, reflecting the net differential between overall expenditure increases and the impact of the expiration of a sales tax incentive agreement in fiscal year 2026. Property taxes and sales taxes continue to be the two largest sources of revenue at $5.1 and $5.2 million respectively in fiscal year 2026. Anticipated revenues remain about the same for fiscal year 2027 to 2028, with the exception of tentative bonds proceeds in fiscal year 28 to fund the unprecedented capital stormwater infrastructure investments. This budget includes a planned fund balance reduction to achieve significant capital objectives, which represents 57% of the fiscal year 2027 budget. On March 30, 2026, the Village Finance Committee reviewed and recommended approval of this tentative biennial budget document. The draft was available for public inspection at the Village Hall, the Public Safety Building, and the library, as well as online at the Village website at www.lakebluff.org. Question on the board to Drew and staff. I do not see any comments. To Drew, it is a roll call vote.
It's first reading, so it should be a voice vote. That should
It's a
be
voice
good.
vote? Okay, it's a voice vote. It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Next item would be item 16, an ordinance amending Title I of a municipal code of the Village of Lake Bluff regarding the comprehensive fee schedule. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. As part of a village biennial budget review, the Finance Committee recently evaluated the water fund's cost recovery and inflationary needs. On March 30, 2026, the committee recommended a 5% increase to the water rate to ensure stable operations and critical capital improvements. If approved, the water rate will go from $8.39 for 1,000 gallons to $8.80 for 1,000 gallon for village customers, and from $9.64 for 1,000 gallon to $10.12 for 1,000 gallon for extraterritorial consumers. The attached ordinance formalizes this adjustment effective May 1st, 2026. Questions to Drew? On the board. I do not see questions to Drew. It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item is item 18, a resolution approving the first amendment to the professional services agreement with EnterDev LLC for managed IT and security services. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Following the dissolution of the Government Information Technology Consortium, GovITC, a collaborative group of 6 communities formed to 1, develop and share IT services, staffing and equipment, and 2, improve efficiency, reduce risk, and foster innovation. And so the village entered into an agreement with EnterDev LLC in June 2023 to provide managed information technology and cyber security services. EnterDev previously served as the service provider for GovITC. The current agreement includes an initial 3-year term from July 1st, 2023 through June 30, 2026, with the option to extend for successive 2-year renewal terms upon mutual written agreement. In accordance with the agreement, annual cost increases are capped at 5%, the maximum cumulative increase, not interest, of 18% over the first 5-year period. Staff recommends that the village exercises its option to renew the agreement, subject to the amended terms outlined in the first amendment. This recommendation is based on EnterDev continued ability to 1, meet or exceed the requirements established in the scope of work, 2, effectively address evolving technology needs and industry trends, particularly in the area of cybersecurity, and 3, provide reliable, high-quality services in a cost-effective manner. Questions on the board?
No.
Being in the business of delivering services for the past 30 years, I have noticed that what you're getting from EnterDev is actually what would be gotten from a much larger enterprise. And so I believe that you're doing a really good job of getting services at a very decent price. So I can only appreciate what you're getting. So
Good.
Yep.
Good to hear.
Yep. Good equipment, good services, and good continuity of service, especially.
I was very impressed with how they handled the changeover to the email Outlook changeover.
Yeah.
Very responsive and helpful. And it made me wonder if extending for 2 years is what we want to do, or we want another contract that allows us to extend again. And I understand the old contract allowed for this extension, but after 2 years, I guess at some point we're gonna have to negotiate all over again. But this is not the time to do so. Is your recommendation?
Yeah, I think the idea is when we went with EnterDev after the dissolution of GovITC, we, the group of other municipalities, we jointly bid it to see who would be the best for all of us together or independently. And for the most part, when the original dissolution happened, everybody, I think, but save one, stayed with GovITC. Over time, there's been more fragmenting of some of the much larger municipalities and organizations have segmented their work and as a kind of like desktop support and then network support.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so we're small enough where this has fit our needs, but in another 24 months, we maybe go back out to market and see.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. No, they've been good.
Now, what I see today is the value you're getting for mission critical equipment is well done. So I'm very happy where you are today. It is a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Hatch,
Aye.
trustee Ryder,
Aye.
trustee Fisher,
Aye.
trustee Freed.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Next is our trustees' report. Do any trustees wish to make a report?
No.
Nope.
Do we not have closed session minutes on?
Thank you. Do we have a closed session?
No, we had minutes though, I thought.
We have
Oh, yeah.
minutes. We have item 20.
Yep. Okay, great.
So next item is item 20, consideration of the minutes of a March 30, 2026 executive sessions. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any discussions? The minutes are very short, actually. Are there any questions, discussions, typos in this report?
No.
Nope. It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. The motion carries again. We do not have executive sessions tonight. Next would be our adjournment. Could I please have a motion to adjourn tonight? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries and we're adjourned. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.